state of Missouri, companies and individuals are accessing and selling your personal information. Good evening, I'm Ashley Katz.
And I'm David Oliver. Good to have you joining us here in a special report tonight. Our Kevin Schwaller investigates the information trade. Kevin, where are places gathering all this?
Shopping, driving, filling out forms, and getting on social media can all feed into this system. Any number of things you do every day can help build a profile of you that you never see. Tonight, we explore the world of privacy for sale. How much do you know about Shane Dodson? He uses social media, and he's selective about what he reveals.
I try to keep it limited, no phone numbers, email I don't use.
Despite his efforts, there is likely information about him out there Dodson doesn't know about. Companies are collecting a much more extensive profile than your Facebook page, one you can't see. It goes beyond a bio. Try social security number, criminal history, home value, net worth, your religion, interests, and much more.
Their activities, their friends, their friendships, their romantic lives are all being tracked in excruciating detail on the internet. It's pretty clear that probably not even your spouse knows how much the internet knows about you.
That's the founder and CEO of Reputation.com, Michael Fairtick.
Reputation.com protects your privacy and reputation on the internet.
Fairtick says you may check terms of service to okay this trade, or businesses can find some information elsewhere.
And so the guys who are buying and selling this information without your knowledge or permission and selling it to people you can't identify for purposes you can never know, what they say is, hey, this is lawful, this is okay, because the rules say that we're allowed to collect this, what's called publicly available data.
Some of that comes from the driver's license office.
I just moved here from Massachusetts a couple weeks ago.
Dodson is getting his Missouri license after moving here from Massachusetts. That means Missouri can sell his information with some limits.
Your personal information, the government, selling your stuff to who knows? For what reason?
Which brings us here to Jefferson City.
I think they need the whole list.
State Representative Chris Kelly says he'd like to make it illegal for Missouri to sell your information. And at a minimum, he'd like to stop other companies from reselling it.
There are 4,700 buyers out there, data miners and junk mail people, and there's legitimate uses like insurance companies and things like that. But there's really no limit on it at all, no reasonable limit, because the stuff is so easy to resell.
So we made an official request for records from the Missouri Department of Revenue, and we found that companies and individuals are making hundreds of thousands of requests each year for your personal information.
We basically charge what it costs us to produce that information.
That comes out to nearly $2.3 million during the last 2 fiscal years. Missouri Department of Revenue spokesperson Ted Farnan says the department is following state and federal mandates. Under those laws, insurance companies, businesses doing research, employers, towing companies, private investigators, and others are allowed to get your information. It's more difficult for bulk mailers to obtain it.
Our Compliance and Investigation Bureau can investigate that application. We can turn it down. We have done that before. If we find that people are not using the information for the reasons they've said, that's also something that we can take action on.
Now, there are theoretical rules about that, but they're all self-enforcing. I went to buy the list, and I just had to fill out a form and say what I would and wouldn't do. There's no way to prove what I did or didn't do. It's just absolutely an open market on personal information.
The addresses and names on the license are one piece in a patchwork, all about you. Fairtick says the material isn't just for marketing. Increasingly, companies are using it for more substantial purposes.
And the roadmap includes things like how to assess your healthcare insurance premiums, whether to give you a certain kind of job, whether to extend you credit and on what terms, what prices to charge you for e-commerce goods.
Kind of scary because they'll just compile what they want.
The Revenue Department wasn't able to give us an example of any place at a license office it tells drivers their information may be sold, and it wasn't aware of any way for most of us to keep those records private.
Kevin joins us now. So is all this legal?
The short answer is yes here. The Department of Revenue is following the laws as they exist. 97% of the money that comes into the state through this is supposed to go into the highway fund. Social security numbers and photos are also much more restricted. The state can't give out that information unless it's for a criminal investigation, for example. However, the Federal Trade Commission is looking in to the major players in the data broker industry.
Disturbing.